Hello everyone and welcome to this screencast where we'll be talking about the approach to learning that we're going to be taking in this course, Graphic Design, Digital Technology, and Learning. A discussion about learning in this course is essentially a discussion about relationships, the relationship between the learner and the facilitator, the learner and their peers, the learner and the course content, and the learner and the course interface. These elements interact together to create a learning experience which you'll be participating in over the next 4 months. An important point to begin with here is that this course might be different from other educational experiences that you have had. This is done on purpose. It has its pros and its cons, and it may not be suitable for every person. As with other classes, this class has an outline where there are learning outcomes. There's a calendar that we'll be following. There are resources that will be shared, readings and videos and images. There are assignments that you'll need to submit for the course. And at the end of the class, you'll have a letter in your transcript that's supposed to describe how smart you are. However, that's where the similarities end. For starters, I don't like to call this a course. It's a learning experience that uses a problem-based approach to learning. We'll talk a bit more about PBL in a bit, but essentially this is the pedagogy that is used in this class to help you develop a deep and meaningful understanding of graphic design, digital technology, and learning. Unlike other courses, it's my hope that your learning doesn't start and end just in conjunction with the course times. I hope that you learn both inside of the class and outside of the class and well beyond the context of this course. Your process will be very personal. No two students are going to have the same experience in this class, and this can be messy at times. And it's important to note that it's often in the moments of discomfort that we're experiencing our greatest growth. What you learn in this course also won't be neatly summarized by a letter grade or a mark on a final exam. So in a traditional model, what ends up happening is that students enter the course thinking that the teacher knows everything and that they're going to deliver content to the student. This could be in the form of lectures, readings, videos, etc. Then the student consumes this knowledge by listening to the lectures, reading the books, watching the videos, and this is usually if you're a good student. They may even engage in discussions about the content, using the questions that the teacher has developed and answering them. And at some point, the students are going to be assessed on what they know. This could be through a test, an assignment, a reflection. This is then submitted to the teacher, who evaluates the learning and gives a grade to the student. After this process, you're done the course, you're done the program. You get a nice hat and a certificate and says you're ready for the world. We experience this in almost all of our formalized education. And this approach actually makes a few assumptions about the learning process that I want to talk about. The first one is that it makes the assumption that learning only happens within the context of a class. The second one is that it makes the assumption that the student doesn't know anything about the topic and that the teacher really knows everything. The student should also not have any control over what they're learning or how they're learning it. The teacher knows the best way that students learn. And by the way, it's often the same for everybody. And the teacher is the best judge of what has occurred inside the mind of the student. Once the student has completed the course, they know the content, the learning stops, and they can now apply that learning or that knowledge to the real world. Now, what learning theory, kindergarten, and almost every authentic learning experience that we have tells us is that none of these things are actually true. So the question is, why do we experience this in school? And I don't know. That's actually a much larger discussion. So what we're going to do in this class is we're going to try to do things a different way. So this course uses a problem-based approach to learning, and it attempts to do this in its purest form. So what that means is that learning can happen everywhere, both inside and outside of the course. And it's based on real problems, not hypothetical ones that are made up by the instructor. As I'll show you in a bit, real problems are much more complex than anything that could be hypothetical. Now, the task of the learner is to identify what these problems are and pick ones that are relevant to them, to explore ways to solve these problems, and then to share that experience with others and engage in the knowledge community. Here's a tip. What we learn through this process is not the solution to any particular problem, but the process by which to solve problems and resources that we can have that can help us to solve problems in the future. Now, my role in this process is to guide you on your journey. I'm beside you. I will engage in discussions with you about the things related to design, digital technology, and learning. I'll share resources that I have collected as a designer and an educator and provide feedback on your work. I'll be available for questions and help where I can. You have a lot of choice and responsibility in this course. It should be exciting, and I'm well aware that for many it might be intimidating. I'm here to help with that as well. But just so you know, the approach that we take to learning in this course is deeply rooted in developmental psychology, learning theory, decades of research, and personal experiences about how people learn. You're not an empty cup or a sponge or whatever metaphor has been used to describe learning in the past. And your facilitators, while knowledgeable, they don't know everything. And they're not here for the purpose of information dissemination. I'm not a talking slideshow. If there's information that you feel you need, look it up. If you have a problem, solve it. And don't be afraid to make mistakes and engage in the process. As noted by Gerver Tully of the Tinkering School, learning is in the doing and failure is the greatest teacher. Now, as a next step, I want to draw your attention to video 1.5, How to Get Twitter into Edmodo. This is a video that provides a detailed example of what problem-based learning looks like in a design context. So please make sure you take a look at that. And if you have any questions regarding problem-based learning or the pedagogy that we're going to use in this course, please feel free to email me at the email on the screen, or post your question directly into the Edmodo community where your peers or your facilitators can respond.
Thanks for watching the intro to the course Pedagogy.